Hey folks, I just wanted to start off today by talking a little bit about why I make these videos, why I'm taking the time to share my understanding on YouTube, right? So it starts off with this idea of 5D interaction, the way we interact with each other, the fact that we create this world and that we are co-creators because we're all in this together, right? Like kind of like that the image of fiber optics, right? We're all little points of source expressing itself. Um, and sometimes our expressions can be in contradiction with each other. But at the same time, we've gotten to this point culturally where we have all these different paradigms and ways we limit ourselves and ways we hold back our own truth, and, let it out for certain select things, certain types of interactions. So anyways, kind of getting sidetracked there. But the idea is when we share our truths without without fear of being judged by it, then oftentimes we find ourselves having synchronicities. When we share our best, it how I want to say, we expand each other's understanding. Sometimes just talking to people and sharing what you know, it triggers things in them, and they share what they know, and our understanding deepens all the time, right? Through our sharing openly with each other, our understanding deepens. That is why it is so important for us to not judge others so they don't close down and hide what they know, We could be expanding each other instead. And with that, like nothing I share on here, this is my understanding from my own intuition, how things unfold, how my understanding has unfolded into understanding in myself, right? By no means the limit. We should always remain as students, remain open to further expansion of our understanding. And when I say understanding, I want to define that real quick. It's a little different than understanding, standing under a truth that you might not fully grasp, but that's the way it's been told, so I understand, You're willing to adhere to that. Now, understanding, I think, is tied to what people have referred to in the past as blind faith. I don't, like, when you talk to a person that says that they have faith, they can't tell you why, because it's a mental thing, They had a mental and heart space experience, It was a feeling, that a feeling of certainty about a truth. When you receive truth, there's certain things you will feel, like a gut feeling, or you feel in your heart that you know something to be true. That's understanding to me. That's not something you can tell somebody and just have them accept it, nor should they, That's just why we have to share our details so that people might be able to have their understanding expanded too. With that, so I'm going to do a little bit of reading and sharing with you guys today about this about this diagram. I do a lot of journaling about the things that I learn, and maybe some of you will get this just from the view of it. This is basically, it's a human stick figure here, and he's in his toroidal field. Basically everything has a toroidal field, has an energy field that follows that general shape. So this was my notes about how our reality is created, basically how this all got started, really. Okay, see, to me, the source of everything has to be the cosmic womb, so it would always be that the divine feminine came first, and expanded itself from there. First there was source, which would be like the 0 point, nothing, no movement, okay, right? And it birthed itself into reality, is the idea. So first was source, which was completely, it wouldn't be yin or yang, right? But then I figure yin had to come first to birth forth, to birth yang into existence, okay? So I'll read from here what it goes. Source, or yin, flipped its polarity to yang, which ignited the drive to double and expand. Let me just explain that thought real quick. So you're figuring source, it's 0 point, it's stillness, it's, no movement, no thought, no feeling, because to me emotions energy in motion, right? So basically, let's see, how did I go on to this? It's basically, okay, let's see, where was I? So yin flipped its polarity to yang, which ignited the drive to double and expand, because yang just always wants to drive forward, drive out, linear, male energy, right? You see, at the center of a toroidal field is a black hole, but the 0 point is pure yang energy, and the crushing force of trying to rebottle that Big Bang literally creates the yin space that yang resides in. I was rereading this morning and trying to wrap my head around my own thoughts, and I was basically seeing it like this. It was like Source had an unnamed urge, and the longer that urge sat there, it was like building up pressure. See, to me, my understanding of the universe is it's sensual, orgasmic. This is, creation, life force. How else do we create life, create, anything, right? So it was, Big Bang to me was like the first orgasm. It builds, just like it feels in your physical body. It builds up pressure and then it releases, right? This is how this goes, right? You have to build up pressure and then release, and that creates space, okay? So, let's see, I went on to say, so source or 0 point built up pressure until it burst into a cosmic ocean of yang, basically, bursting forth out everywhere in every direction, infinite directions, okay? So, the earth, oh, yeah, this is where it gets interesting, we got to look everywhere for our synchronicities, for our expanding of our inner standing. So, it's funny, this is kind of a touchy one. A lot of people are starting to get into this theory of this flat earth theory. And I don't know what a lot of you believe out there. I do believe we have been manipulated about our true nature in several ways. And it's just interesting because it is a very unpopular topic. Everybody would ridicule that for the most part when you start talking about flat earth theories, right? But it did jive with my understanding on this level. The earth plane is flat. What it exists in is a vast, deep ocean, is what I had written. Now, when you're thinking of your 3D self, whether or not the earth is flat or whether or not it's round, we are too small to perceive it as anything but flat. So to our 3D self, yes, this is a flat plane. And it does make sense with the order of creation. First dimension, second dimension, third dimension. The second dimension would be a flat plane, which you could build third dimension upon, right? That's how that goes. That's why 3 is such a sacred number for creation. But going back to my little diagram here, so you'll see the toroidal energy is going in and down, basically through the crown. I called the 0 point the center point of our body, because as above, so below, right? So what it's showing here is at the top of the toroidal field, he takes in yin energy into the heart space, which feeds the yang motion or force, right? And then yin is recycled into more space. So, there's more to this. There was another diagram. It was related to this diagram. Basically, if your 3D self, your 3D self is always on a limited plane, right? But your expanded self, your actual, your true infinite nature self, what you truly are, exists beyond that, okay? So, it was kind of, at the moment, I was kind of thinking of it like, in a sense, you're always levitating in your physical body because you're surrounded by an energy field, okay? So let's see what I had written for this diagram. Going off the idea that the 3D matrix is a dream, wouldn't then our soul be levitating high above the ground? The us that exists beyond material would be simultaneously existing in uncreated space. That means your most high, your highest self, your oversoul, exists here and now in this 3D space, but it isn't limited to that. It also exists in uncreated space. That's why we all create with our thoughts. Let's see. And here's an interesting one. Okay, so in the diagram, what I'm showing here, attention to heart space, and then expand from there. So I've tapped into this idea that we create from the heart space, but the only way to create harmonious, beautiful things is to create from the root, the heart, and the crown. Because first you need a sense of security and safety and belonging here, and then you need your heart space to balance out that male energy that just wants to give out, and then you need that focus to get a clear vision. That would be the yang energy. So he'd written, when the root, heart, and crown expand, 7 becomes 3, 3 becomes 1. This is referring to the number of chakras. Like, I figure when the root expands, it includes the solar and sacral. When the heart expands, it includes the throat and third eye. And then you've got the crown. And when they're all expanded, that's one unified energy field, representing all 7 of the chakras there. So that's how we create harmoniously, as opposed to this gobbledygook crazy male stuff we see around us that's destroying the planet. But I mean, all these things are on so many levels, okay? So everything's multidimensional. As above, so below, as within, so without. You think we're not polluted on the inside from all the stuff they're feeding us? Yeah, we need to all support each other, support our understanding, and be able to share openly our inner knowings, to really get in touch with ourselves and not have to second guess ourselves. God, there's so much I have swirling around in my head all the time. Anyhow, folks, I'll be back with more later. Have a good day.